In British Columbia, most of these collective agreements will say something like there may be no more than X students in a grade one class, um, and that's the class size part. And then the composition part is in British Columbia, students with special needs have lettered designations, so A, B, C, D, E, and so on. A student who has designation, say F, will count as 1.3 students. A student who has designation G will count as 1.6, and so on. So the totals, the cap total both reflects size and composition factors. The lower you go, the lower the caps. So I think in kindergarten and grade one, it's 19. It's sort of higher than that as you go up through high school. People have a funny sense of how big classes are. I think if you ask the person on the street what the average class size is in British Columbia, they might say 30. I looked into this a couple of years ago, and less than 2% of classes in British Columbia have 30 or more students in them. So classes may already be smaller than we believe. It's the hard cap, I think, and that creates inflexibility that can create problems. Historically, the principal would sit down with the teachers in his school, and they would make the classes, either at the end of the school year or at the start of the school year, when they knew how many kids there would be and who those kids would be. And there would be some give and take there. Okay, Mrs. Singh, you're going to teach a grade 2 class, and you're going to have this many kids, and I'd like you to take little Johnny and little Susie. They do well together. Now, Mrs. Lee is just starting out. This is her first year, so maybe we'll give her a few fewer children. And so on and so on. And this would tend to work against that flexibility, in the sense that you cannot put a couple of extra kids in Mrs. Lee's class unless you use something that is, there's a remedy in the collective agreement as well. We can talk about that. But it limits that flexibility. One thing it does also tend to do is to create large numbers of split grades. At my daughter's school, for instance, there are no straight grade 2 classes, but 5 different grade 2 splits, either 1-2 or 2-3 splits. Splits in themselves are not bad. Research shows that, especially in the primary grades, splits can be quite fine. I mean, quite good, beneficial actually in some ways. But again, it creates that inflexibility that I think is frustrating for administrators and for teachers who have a good sense of which kids should be in which class and why. Interestingly, though, in the last 2 rounds of collective bargaining, the BC Public School Employers Association, which represents the school districts, and the BCTF, which represents the teachers, have not addressed class size and composition. They were beginning to do so in 2020, but then they put that on hold because COVID complicated things considerably, and they just went for a straight wage settlement. And then the most recent straight wage settlement, most recent collective agreement, that is a 3-year collective agreement ending in 2025, also set that issue aside. They didn't make any changes to existing class size and composition rules, and the teachers were able to get something in the order of 12 or 13% over 3 years. I don't know if they would have been able to achieve that much if they had tried to add to their gains in class size and composition.